the High Holy Days 2021 Man on the Street. All right, so the High Holy Days are coming up, and I asked different questions. And this year, this is question number one. What is your favorite sin? So if you don't know the sins...
Sin.
Look, remember the sins are lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, of course, pride, sins.
Oh, that would be...
what would be one that you just, is your favorite?
I grew up in Provo, Utah, so drinking would be my biggest sin.
That's one you like? That's your favorite sin?
Yeah.
What is your favorite sin? If you can remember them. Do you remember the sins? There's gluttony, and there's sloth, and there's envy, and there's pride.
My favorite?
Yeah, what's your favorite?
Lust.
Lust. What's your favorite sin?
Oh man.
My favorite sin. Let me think. My favorite sin.
So, my dear, what's your favorite sin?
I just learned the words. It's gluttony.
Very good. God, you're so bright. So much brighter than your husband. What sin do you love? A sin that you actually love? Is there a sin that you actually like? There's all kinds, you know.
Envy? Is that a sin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say envy because it serves as motivation for me.
Seriously?
Yeah, here we go.
You can be recording when I'm cleaning.
Listen, so you know what sins are. Is there a sin that you actually think is your favorite sin, a sin that you like? There's greed, envy, lust, there's lots of sins. Is there a sin that you actually like?
That I actually like?
Yeah.
Who likes sin? Nobody likes none of those. Those get you in trouble.
Is there a sin that you actually like?
Oh my God. I love.
So there's gluttony, and there's lust, and there's pride, and there's sloth, and there's
The gluttony of chocolate.
okay, gluttony.
Oh my gosh.
Do you ever think it's possible on this planet at any time to have a planet that is devoid of any kind of sin or bad deed? Is that even possible, or is that just a completely unattainable idea?
I don't think it's attainable. I think that it's, like they say, it's pie in the sky, right? It's something that you're not going to find on this earth.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not my lifetime.
Okay. Can you imagine?
No.
Okay. Do you think ever on this planet there'd be a time when there wouldn't be anyone doing bad deeds, or sin wouldn't bloom anymore on this planet? Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay.
But it requires that there be no more humans.
Do you think ever on this planet there'd be a time where there wouldn't be any sin or no bad deeds being committed? Is that possible?
I wish it were, but I don't think so.
There would be no
sin or bad deeds done. Is that okay?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
No, unfortunately.
I doubt that, because in order to have good, you kind of have to have the evil. It's sort of the yin to the yang, I would expect.
Do you think there's ever a time on this planet when there would never be any bad deeds done or any sins? Is that possible on this planet?
As long as we're here, that's impossible.
Do you ever think there'll ever be a day on this planet where there really will never be any bad deeds or people who don't commit sin? Is that even possible on this planet?
I would love to believe it is, but I don't think so.
Do you ever think on this planet there'd ever be a time when no one would ever commit a sin or do a bad deed? Is that even possible?
I mean, look at the way we're going. Are you serious?
You've heard all the sins, right? And some of the sins aren't even listed, like murder and adultery and all the other ones. But if there's one sin that you would never give grace to somebody for.
What's with this your fixation on sin?
Because, all right, let me stop right now. I know we're going to edit this. But you being a fellow Jew should recognize the high holy days are coming up. including Yom Kippur, which talks about our sins. So now, going back to the question, which is that, is there any sin you could never forgive someone for? Or would you give grace to anybody because of just being human?
I think there are sins I could never forgive. I mean, I think that being greedy and destroying the earth through overdevelopment and corruption are sins that really can't be excused.
Well, thank you. Is there any sin that someone would commit, any bad deed that you would never give them grace or forgive them for? Is there anything that you just couldn't? You know, we're human and we're full of faults. I just wonder, is there anything that you would not?
I don't think so. But some egregious things like taking advantage of children or something like that would have to be over time, healing over time, not immediately.
Thank you. Is there anything that anyone would do that you could not just, you know, we're all human.
Somebody messing around with my wife.
Is there a sin or a bad deed that someone has committed that you could not forgive them for? You couldn't give them grace?
Yeah. Pat's father's so-called wife married him and took all his money.
Okay.
And I just thought he was in his 90s, and I just thought that was just horrible. And she was awful to him.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm very forgiving.
No.
No, I'm a forgiving type of individual. It takes too much effort to hold on to pain and that kind of anger or hatred, so I believe it's better to forgive than to hold on to it, just for your own sense of self and soul.
Thank you.
I don't believe so, because forgiveness isn't about the person causing the sin or committing it. It's about my release and freedom from it.
Listen, if I don't forget, but I forget the people, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to hold the grudges on people. I forget people, but for me, for my own sanity. I don't care what you do in your life.
Is there something that someone would do that you say, you know what, I'm a pretty forgiving person, but I can't forgive them? Or are you one to say, you know what, I give grace to anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to think I'd give grace to anyone. So, I don't know one yet that I wouldn't forgive, but that doesn't mean that it isn't out there.
Is there a deed or sin that someone could commit that you could never forgive them for?
Yes.
So what would that be?
Something probably related to injuring my family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ifaristo. Is there a sin or something that a deed that someone has committed that you could not forgive them for?
No, I would forgive you.
And why do you think that is? Why would you be willing to forgive people no matter what?
Because when you're close to leaving the world, and then you really have to look at everything seriously, and things that you've done in your life and things that other people have done in their life. And we all have the right to screw up sometimes. We all have the right to say, I'm sorry, and will you accept my apology? And my answer is yes.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Well, it's the truth.